Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. I'm going to talk about hair loss today, and a pretty good chance if you found us, maybe you did a search and you're wondering about hair loss, maybe you're experiencing it, maybe it's somebody you know. Today we're going to center on the reasons that most people don't consider why hair loss takes place. Probably going to surprise you. It surprised me when I started having a conversation with her. She is an amazing, and I want to make sure I have this right, trichologist?
Yes.
I'm saying it right. Okay. That's somebody that helps with hair restoration, and she's got a business in New Jersey and helps people with this all the time. I was blown away last time we got together, and the knowledge and depth that she has, about this topic. And she joins us once again on the program. It is LaRonne Quarles-Wright joining us. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, sir. How are you? How was your weekend?
Good. Everything's good. Getting ready for the holidays. And it's, when you hear from somebody, friend, loved one, even if you say it yourself, man, I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to lose some hair. Like right away, it's bells and whistles go off. There's a lot of concern. Hair brings us vanity, confidence, and all of that. What are some of the reasons people lose hair that they might not normally consider as a reason for hair loss?
Aside from genetics, many of us, they all know, my mom and my father, my grandfather, my brothers losing their hair. Genetics is always one of the top two. And if it's not genetics, it's usually always stress. So everyone can relate to, I had a little bit of stress. I was stressed out. I had an exam. I had a breakup. I had this. And subsequently, the hair will, be interrupted in its growth cycle, so they'll lose hair. But some of the top ones are medication, illness. It can be lack of nutrition, just like we spoke of before. There are tons of reasons why someone would lose their hair that many people do not think about, because when clients come to my clinic and I share with them some things about hair loss and hair growth, I'll say, did this happen? Did this happen? And what happened with this? What happened with this? And they're like, what does that have to do with anything? And I say everything, because anything you come in contact with, anything that affects you, your life, your blood supply will affect your hair, because your hair is a barometer of your health. If you lose your hair, something else is amiss, and we just have to figure it out.
Wow. Seems reasonable, too, when somebody gets let's say there's a drug test, for work or whatever, your hair. What does that say?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to stress, let's say somebody lost some hair because of stress, and it's, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. You've been dealing with a stressful situation and it got you there. When you minimize the stress situation, does the hair start coming back? It
does. Yes, it will. But of course, you have to interrupt whatever's stressing you or ailing you. And that's whatever's affecting your cortisol level, your adrenals, whatever's affecting you stress-wise, it will definitely reverse itself once you alleviate the stressful concern. But if you have, and I swear I don't mean it the way it sounds, if you have a husband or a spouse or a child or work, and you travel the same, path to work every day, and you have the same concerns and the same traffic, if you're in that same dynamic all the time, it really won't change. It will just interrupt your hair so much where, depending on what stage of the growth cycle you're in, it will just advance you further into the growth phase, where you have anagen, catagen, and telogen, and then exogen, and back to anagen. All hairstylists know what that is. The stress will prematurely push your hair from the growth phase to the resting and the fallout stage. So there are so many hairs on your head that are going to be pushed prematurely to that fallout stage. So it will just happen quicker. And it will never be a situation where you lose all of your hair. That's very rare. But prematurely, a lot of the hair on your head will be pushed to that fallout stage. That's why it feels thinner and it feels less dense, because, it's been coming out prematurely. But it'll come back. It's just you have to reduce that stress and then, modify it, mediate it, and you'll be fine. But it takes a minute, because wherever your hair was in that growth cycle, it may be another 6 months to a year before that hair that came out prematurely will grow back. And that's what I have to convince everyone and share with them. If it fell out before it was supposed to fall out, it's going to be a while before that hair comes back. And you can't rush it. You can't rush DNA. It's going to come back when it's supposed to come back.
And I see it, we interrupted the growth cycle because of the stress. You need to interrupt the stress situation for it to mitigate and eventually start growing again.
Yes.
That being said, are there things that we should be doing to promote hair growth? Let's say, we all got a lot of stress going on. Sometimes it's, situations like that. You want to be proactive, I know I got stress. I'm dealing with it, but I don't want to lose my hair. Is there things that you can do to foster hair growth?
There are, and I hope you don't mind because I can get off on a tangent and a rant about this all day. But there are things like when I
don't mind, by the way, because there's so much stuff out there and misinformation and marketing. And every time I walk into a pharmacy, let's say this company sells whatever product it is for men. We'll go there. I walk in the next day, this company that sells this, not for hair growth or anything, now they're selling product for hair growth, restoration. There's so much out there, and we wonder if it's bogus. So jump on the soapbox if you need to.
I know we spoke the first time about some of the contributors and what some of my findings are when I do have clients coming from my clinic. But what I usually suggest is if you're doing this overall, you kind of increase the chances that you have great hair. You have to make sure that you're eating clean because if you eat the same things all the time, your diet isn't very varied. And you need different things in your diet from all of the spectrum of colors because they provide different nutrients. You need things that are yellow, red, green, purple, blue, all the time because you need antioxidants. And I'm pretty sure you've heard of antioxidants, right?
Sure.
So the antioxidants, of course, they prevent your cells that are going to become hair cells. You don't want them to be prematurely exposed to free radicals because that means sure and sudden death. And we call that apoptosis. So we don't want your cells to go through apoptosis any quicker than they normally would, which is why we tend to lose hair and we lose growth because we're not really creating cellular regeneration. So one of the first things I do is say you need antioxidants. And with the antioxidants, you can get those through anything from great leafy greens, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, or you can just take an oral antioxidant. Next on the list are anti-inflammatories. Everyone needs anti-inflammatories, and anti-inflammatories will just help the body overall. So antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, regular just nutrients, like a good nutritional supplement. Also, we all need pre and probiotic fiber. You need it because we need to keep pushing out all of the bad stuff out of our arteries and veins to make sure that blood circulation is flowing well to all areas of the body, namely the hair. So when you have that and you're making sure that you're getting in your good bacteria, that helps your gut. The gut helps everything else. So antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, a great nutritional supplement, and pre and probiotic fiber are some of the heavy hitters as to you want great hair, you need to be getting this into your diet every single day.
So anti-inflammatory, right away I think of inflammation, which is a big 2024 buzzword. Can we look at that for a second? There are things we're eating that we have inflammation from it and don't even know it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Which part would you like me to unpack?
Inflammation. What causes it, and why should we be concerned?
And you know what? I know I spoke to you briefly before we began the call. I wrote a book on inflammation as well because I need clients to kind of understand what inflammation is. The inflammation comes from a bodily organ. If you could kind of follow along with me, it comes from a bodily organ. So if there's too much inflammation in the body, then the body starts sending out messages, chemical messengers, and cytokines. Cytokines start doing things and interrupting cellular growth and processes. And because the cytokines are activated, they also create swelling and edema and pain and stiffness at the area or the site of where the inflammation lands. So I'll tell all my clients when they come in, sometimes clients will come in with an associated ailment called trichodynia, and that's just extreme scalp pain. But scalp pain precedes a lot of other hair loss issues and scalp ailments. So when you hear that you have trichodynia, I know something is amiss. I need to get some things into your diet. I need to help you remove and eliminate some things because the inflammation will interrupt the growth process and will eventually cause hair loss in some people. So the inflammation that comes from a bodily organ, if you kind of understand from our last conversation, let's take digestion. Supposing, because we're holistic practitioners, suppose that you came into my clinic and you were complaining of rapid hair loss or an onset of some hair loss. And I said, well, tell me, what do you eat? You tell me what you're eating. And I'll say, what experience are you having with what you eat? Oh, I'm having nausea. I'm having flatulence. I have some problems when I eat. I'll say, what is your blood type? And you'll say, oh, my blood type is type A or type AB. And I'll say, but you're eating protein and meat? And you'll say, yes. And I'll say, that's where your inflammation and your pain is coming from because you're not supposed to eat meat. A type A or an AB doesn't have the stomach acid to digest protein. So if you're eating a lot of protein, your digestive system will cause you a lot of inflammation. Are you following me?
I am. And why doesn't anybody talk about this?
They do, but in holistic circles, we talk about this. But as far as physicians are concerned, oh, that's nothing. It doesn't mean anything, and that's not a real thing. It is to us. It is because as soon as my clients change it, they feel better instantly. So I'll say to them, if you're having these issues, if you can't digest it in the top, you're not going to digest it in the bottom. So it doesn't matter what you do, your body is not made to digest meat. So certain type A's and type ABs really should lean on maybe turkey and fish and something where the protein isn't so dense that you have trouble breaking it down. Because once you try to break down beef and pork and lamb and veal, muskrat, moose, anything else, your body's going to cause inflammation. The inflammation will cause cytokines, inflammation everywhere else, and for you, it may cause hair loss.
Wow.
Yeah, so type Bs and type Os really could have a more protein-rich diet, but type A's, ABs cannot. So for me, it's the digging. So all I need to do is spend 5 minutes with you. I already know where your inflammation is coming from. I can look at your skin. I can listen to you. I already know where it's coming from.
Again, nobody talks about this. I hear the word inflammation. Once you get past what it is, people think, oh, I banged my arm, it's inflamed. No, we're talking inside your body. And we may be doing harm to ourselves in terms of that inflammation, which leads to hair loss by eating what we think. I would think I'm going to have a steak. I don't have a steak that often because I don't want to overdo red meat, but I don't know, maybe once every 2 weeks I'll have one, or, I'll have some kind of meat every fourth day or something like that. Maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know. I have to look at, so here, I don't know if you can answer this question, but when you do labs, I don't even know what blood type I am. Don't laugh. But
that 80% of the clients that visit me do not, and I perform testing here.
How would you know, like when you do labs, where is it always listed on your labs?
No, that is a premium service. Your lab will never tell you what it is. It's no need for you to know, so they're not going to ask. They don't really care unless something happens as an emergency, then you need to know. But unless you have known or you have your card, that's like 80 to 90% of the clients I service don't know their blood type. That's why I test it.
That's an awkward pause for insurance companies.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like on a need-to-know basis. You don't really need to know unless someone specifically needs that information. So,
you would think that would just be a normal, hey, we're going to add at the top of the test, blah, 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 blah. Because I recently had labs done, and they actually messed up and lost some of the blood. I had to go back again a week later. So now it's fresh on my mind. I was just going to log in and see, let me see what blood type I am. I always wondered.
Right.
I didn't. Thank you for sharing that. It has to be requested. And of course, I'm sure they'll charge you for it. And even if your labs are covered by insurance, it's always, most of us, I get mine back and it's covered by insurance to a point. Then it's for this test, $395. That test $422,
Yes.
and it all adds up. But whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that book. So you have a couple of books?
I have one that I wrote. It's called Inflammation, and then I have the second one that's called The Top 5 Reasons Why Your Clients Are Losing Their Hair. And the inflammation book, that's all about what things you can do to stave off inflammation, like what things you can eat, where it comes from, what inflammation is. And then the second book, of course, I'm leaning more into hairstylists who need this information, who will never even have a clue that they would need to know this. So I'm trying to kind of bring them trichology information without them even knowing that that's what that is. So I'm trying to help people like I needed the help. When I started this journey 25 years ago, I didn't know this. I didn't come to know this information until 2010, and no one told me this. I had to kind of figure it out myself.
LaRonne, I've done podcasts on inflammation before with, deep holistic people. They didn't explain it like you're explaining it. And it was always my impression that if you eat certain things, it can cause inflammation. Things you obviously shouldn't be eating. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
And certainly, our food supply kind of tainted with pesticides, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to be careful there. Maybe, organic fruits and vegetables where it makes sense. But never heard how, depending on your blood type, eating certain things can cause inflammation. Because it's our, understanding, well, we need protein. So, meats are a good source of protein, but if you don't know, you don't know. So, wow, thank you for even bringing that point up today.
You're welcome.
What got you interested in inflammation, the holistic end of all of this? There are some people that just work on hair loss and the vanity side of it. You're working the other side of it as well in terms of identifying the cause and lifestyle and health and all that. What brought you to that? What got you excited in the beginning?
Well, in New Jersey, we don't have, as a cosmetologist hairstylist, we don't have continuing education for our state. So when I got into trichology, I found it's the same with trichology because it's not really mandated here in the States. No one cares whatever you do if you ever take another course in trichology. But in order to serve people well, I had to keep going. And anytime I would meet with a client, I would find that there was just so much more I needed. And a lot of people that I serviced the first half of my trichology career, I know they were underserved because I didn't know enough. So it's just, you have to keep going. You have to keep staying in holistic circles. Then when you're in those circles, more offerings of things that you need to learn are offered to you. Like I've taken herbal training, I've taken Chinese medicine training, I've taken auricular therapy. So there are just different things that you have to take so that you can serve your client more and better and more efficiently. So I kind of just had to keep taking things and learning different things. So I'm like, wow, it is very interesting. So I'm able to serve the client in a different manner.
Do you find that once you start down the road of holistics and helping people, you get addicted to learning more?
Well, yeah, that's kind of always just been my MO because I'm a extreme tea person and I'm a science girl. So I'm a nerd. I just love information and drives my husband nuts because I'll come home and I'll just say, you know what? I learned this today. He's just like, oh no. Because I'm a learner. I just love learning stuff. I don't even care what it is. Like, it just depends. Something's hit me. I'm just a lifelong learner.
Learning is great in that regard, but when you can learn something that can help others, isn't that just the ultimate feeling?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes.
Got a couple of minutes left. Tell me a journey with somebody where, and again, we don't know who they are, where they were dealing with something and you can identify it, and then you took them to the point where their hair started coming back.
Ooh. How about, can I share something along the lines of what we were just talking about?
Yeah.
Her hair did not come back, but I really have something piggybacking on what it was I just shared with you.
Sure.
So many clients don't understand hair growth and holistic health and things the way we do. Because I've been a hairstylist and a trichologist for a number of years, I can look at you and listen to you and tell you what it is you need to change almost instantly. And I almost have to draw back off of people because I can walk up to someone and say, you just change this or put this in your life, this could help. because I can look at people and I can tell by the manner of hair loss that they have that something is wrong. Because hair loss for male pattern baldness is very identifiable, is very symmetrical. And when I see it in a non-symmetrical pattern, I know something is off in a particular area of the body almost instantly. So I say that to say, as soon as my clients come in and they have filled out their pre-information before they visit with me, I kind of already know what their problem is. I had a young lady, 23, nursing student, who came to visit me, who had a full-blown alopecia areata. When a young client like that visits with their parent, I already know it's going to be a problem. Because if the parent doesn't agree, or if a client brings a wife or a husband, the consultation will not go well, because if the other party doesn't accept what I'm saying, it's not going to go anywhere. Because you understand what I mean so far?
Yep.
So this young lady brought her mom, and she said, "Oh, I've been losing my hair off and on, for the past 5 to 6, 7 years." She was having some really, really bad issues as a teen. When she got to college, she was having some severe gut issues. So I said, okay, I know that's where it began. And she told me all that in her preliminary information. So she said, I had problems with it, coming in and out of hair loss. I had severe gut issues, but I totally lost all of my hair when I was 21. I said, okay, I got it. So I asked everyone before they attend, what's your diet like? What do you eat? She told me everything she was eating. I said, what's your blood type? She said, it's type A. I said, that's your key right there. We strengthen your gut for the next 6 months to a year. You eat everything that's recommended for an A type, your hair will come back. Her mother said, that's absolute nonsense. That's not what it is. I said, ma'am, the allergic reaction, the maladaptive response her body is giving towards the meat she's eating is her reason for having all of this upset. Her body's not designed to eat hot dogs, subs, chips, hamburgers. That's not what her body can digest. She can only digest type A foods, which are fish and a vegan lifestyle, vegetarian. I said, I promise you strengthen her gut, you do what I asked you to do, her hair will return. Because she had like peach fuzz, which I know she could probably regenerate the hair back. But her mother was just like, I have not heard anything like that. That's not going to work. I said, okay, ma'am.
Wow.
Believe me, this is what it is. I said, you're going to continue having rash, eczema, allergies, because it's called the mast cell response. Your body does not like meat. And it's a trigger for her. That's how alopecia areata begins. It comes from some sort of mast cell response, which is a trigger, an immune system reaction. And I said, it's increased in strength by the stress. So she stresses about exams and this and that and about life. I said, it brings it on. That's it. But I said, you have to change the core and it will take a different dynamic. So it's a lot to being a trichologist because not everyone accepts the message.
Wow. And your message seemed very reasonable, and it's based on science. The blood type, how that correlates to what you should and should not eat. Wow. It's almost as if you're like, you ever see like a FBI profiler? You are like a follicle profiler. That's what you are. It's pretty cool.
I have to use that. I like that. Thank you.
Well, you are. That's what I see. When you said that, that woman walked in there with her mom. Wow. LaRonne, what's the best way to find you? I know you have, it's at 2 locations in New Jersey.
As a matter of fact, I'm not at the second location as often, so I don't travel there that much. Very little, but I am at 1420 South New Road in Pleasantville, and you can reach us on our website at hairlosscenterenj.com.
And I would imagine anybody anywhere on the planet, from the holistic side and your information, you could consult with them as well, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
LaRonne, thank you for today. Thank you for all the insight. Whoa. Learned a lot. And I didn't think we'd be filling, a half hour of a podcast about the reasons that we don't normally see in terms of hair loss. We could keep going in terms of what's actually going on within our bodies, inflammation and such. Appreciate it. And happy holidays to you and your family.
Same to you, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.